Shannon, I want to start off with talking about an aha moment that you had, and that was a conversation with a coworker. So tell us about that moment.
I was working, I previously worked for our public safety department at Laguna Pueblo, and I was having a conversation with one of my coworkers, and he was talking about, it was either a photography exhibit or a photography gallery that he had recently been to. And he was, so he was telling me about it, and as he was telling me about it, photography is something I've done since I was probably in 4th, 5th grade. And as he was, he was telling me about this exhibit, I started thinking how much I missed doing photography, taking photographs. And so there was something that really just stirred up in me that I had had a 35 millimeter camera all the way through high school, and just took all my allowance went to film, negatives, developing. And then after high school, went to college, and in college I took a couple of years of photography classes. And then after college, got married, family kicked in, and then I just, for probably about, 10, maybe 15 years, I just didn't do, here and there, little some photographs. But then after that conversation, I was like, I want to get back to that. I want to get back to that. And so I was moving from film to digital. Everything was digital at that point. Got a new digital camera, started looking at lighting, started taking classes, started going to photography conferences, reading books. I mean, I dove in head first with this, and I just absolutely, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do is photograph, particularly our Native people. There was, Edward Curtis, you see his photos, and they're very somber, but that's one side of us. There's a whole other side of us that's laughter, that's about family, that's about finding joy in dark places. That's what I've been moving my photography towards. But that was my aha moment, was that when I heard him talking about, this wonderful gallery, I thought, I want to do that. I want to see my work up there at some point. So that's what that was.
It really sounds like you're an example of somebody who at any age was like, this is my passion, and I'm going to do what it takes to make my dreams come true.
I stubborn, probably mostly stubborn. I just, my dad bought me a 35 millimeter camera when I was in 6th grade, and that was a pretty hefty camera for a kid. But I had more photos than the yearbook committee. I had that camera. I still have that camera today, and so I would do this for free all day long. I love recording people, particularly our Native people. That's just something I just love doing.
This series is called Indigenous in 2024, and I want to ask you, as a photographer and as a storyteller, what you're observing right now that is the single greatest issue impacting Indigenous communities.
Our lifestyle, our health, our own health. We've moved into where it's a lot of processed food. It's just a lot of processed food, and I think that has a tremendous tremendous impact on our own health. And it's us as Native people getting back to where we were. I mean, we had a lot of farms, we had a lot of fields. There was a lot of, when I was growing up, my dad, my grandfather, they were sheep herders. A lot of, our own, and that's all they ate. That's what they ate. But now it's, and now it's just, it's real heavy on refined foods. And I think that's, and that impacts our health, that impacts our well-being, that impacts the quality of our life.
Yeah.
And I would, and so I would love to see a resurgence in the Native people going back to farming, and even if it's a small, you don't have to flip overnight, but even a small portion of it, your own garden at home, growing your own foods.
Let me ask you the flip side of that question, and it is, what is the single greatest strength of Indigenous people in this day and age?
I think it's our humor that, I mean, we've seen all the way, through history. We've seen I guess if the traumatic events that have happened to just Indigenous people here, and yet the humor that comes out of, I mean, you can go through really tough situations, really bad situations, and we can still find something to laugh about.
I want to squeeze in another question. We were talking earlier about senior centers and senior centers in your community of Laguna, and one very nearby in Acoma.
Yes.
Tell us what you're doing at those senior centers.
It started weighing on me that a lot of our elders, our Native elders, they don't have really nice portraits of themselves, and they're not there's a lot of studios, like, so I'm in Laguna Pueblo and Albuquerque. There's a lot of photography studios, but Natives are not comfortable going into those studios outside of home. They're comfortable at home. So I thought, well, why not? I have the backdrops and camera and everything. So I started talking with our local senior center and asking her, do you mind if I set up one day? I said, you 50 and over, elder, I said, or if you just feel old, come by. I'll take your picture, and no charge. I'll set up everything. I'll take your photo, no charge, and then I can get you digital prints for your families. I started at Laguna, and then I got a hold of the police chief at Acoma, and he's, come up, well, I'll find you a place. And so I'm getting inquiries from other pueblos, Santa Ana, Isleta, Jemez. So I'm really looking to expand this because our elder Natives were, especially after COVID, we're just losing them at a high rate, and they should have a really nice portrait of themselves, and I can do that. And so in between my other photography jobs, that's really what I want to do.
Well, speaking of core values, honoring and loving our elders is something that is universal across Indigenous communities. So it's really wonderful that you're doing that work.
Thank you.
Shannon, I thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. It's nice being here.